Hey, this is Cherry at Wondercon 2024, and I'm so excited. We are celebrating 30 years of Gargoyle, the beloved animated series that changed the game. It was not your child's cartoon that you normally watched. Instead, it handled topics that reached across all ages and truly appealed to children and adults. And I'm so excited to talk to the show creator, who is going to be talking about the expansion of the Gargoyle universe and all the stories that have been untold since the series ended, as well as the voice actors and the team behind the scenes. It was a cast of stars that we still see nowadays, except for the ones that passed away. But I'm super excited to talk to them. I love the show from the first time I saw it as a child, and I rewatched it as an adult, and the storylines that they had really were quite interesting and unlike any animated series I'd seen as a child, and really as an adult, because it handled some really serious subject matters. Make sure you leave a comment, follow, and let's get to talking about Gargoyles. Yay! I'm celebrating 30 years of Gargoyles here at WonderCon, and I'm super excited to talk to the creator of my beloved show from my childhood.
Hi, I'm Greg Weisman.
Hi, Greg. I'm Cherry. I grew up watching Gargoyles. I loved it as a kid. It was so different from any show I'd ever seen before. How did you decide on the concept of it? Because it's one of the few shows that I remember as a child that I watched as a child, enjoyed it, loved it, then watched as an adult and realized there's a lot more going on than I realized when I was a kid.
I mean, conceptually, we just, I had been fascinated with gargoyles since I was in high school, and collected photos of gargoyles and postcards with gargoyles and that kind of thing. But we started out actually trying to do a comedy adventure show, but we didn't sell it. But we thought there was something in it, so we created the character of Goliath, and we took the whole show and put it through the prism of Goliath and came out the other end with the show that you're familiar with, which was a sort of superhero show without capes or leotards or anything like that, but that genre. And we decided early on that we would make the kind of show that we wanted to see on television, as opposed to trying to guess at what the kids might want to see on television. And we also decided early on that we would write it on levels, so that for the youngest segment of our audience, there are explosions, there are multicolored characters who are flying through the night and are really cool. But for older audiences, we had themes that would sort of go over the head of the littlest kids, but were there for an older audience to enjoy and really sink their teeth into.
Now, this came out so long ago, so I'm dating myself, that you had to watch it live on TV show. But now with the streaming services and everything, you're not only being rediscovered by original fans, but new fans. Have you had a lot of interaction with them, since I assume you're on social media? And I know that you had a crowdfunder.
Yeah, so I'm doing Gargoyles comics with Dynamite. I'm really happy to be doing those, to be able to write these characters again. And we did a Kickstarter to fund reprinting some of the older Gargoyles comics, the stuff that Marvel did without me back when I was busy making the show, and then the stuff I did with SLG back in 2007, 2008. The Kickstarter was for $50,000 and we raised $925,000. I have had some interaction with new fans and old. But there was this thing, I don't know if you heard about the pandemic, that sort of cut me off from conventions and stuff for a while, but now that's starting back up again, and so I'm meeting people again in person, and it's always fun because Gargoyles fans are the best fans ever.
Even watching it when I was younger, I felt like there was so much layers that we hadn't gotten a chance to see. If you're able to expand it beyond comic books, what is your dream? Is it to have another streaming service or TV show or a movie? Because I'd love to see you guys in a movie, animated or live. I'm not sure which, because I love both ideas.
I'm not too picky. I'd love to do more, animated or live. I think probably I might have a slight preference for animation because we could get some of the gang back together and we could, because it's a streaming show, there are 2 seasons on Disney Plus, so we don't have to start over. We can just sort of, be the 3rd season or the 4th season or the 5th season or the 6th season, and the audience can watch the original stuff and then flow right into the new material, and that to me seems ideal. But I'm game for whatever Disney's game to do. I mean, Disney owns it, I don't, so it's really up to them. I don't get to make the call, but I'm game to do whatever they want.
I'm hoping Disney will expand because A, they need additional content for Disney Plus, and B, I know fans are finding it and they're loving it. From the panel that I attended, there was a lot of fans in there. They're all talking about everything.
Yeah, like I said, we have the best fans in the world, and I am thrilled that new people are finding it. I'm thrilled that people like you who were kids when it's on, they're now showing it to their kids, and that makes me very, very happy. So, we're always growing, and that's a great thing, even 30 years later.
And I have to ask, when you were working with Disney, you mentioned in the panel that because they were busy on a lot of other things, you got a lot more freedom. Were there some things that you had really wanted to do that Disney, when they paid attention, said, no, thank you, that's not going to happen right now?
Not really. I mean, like I said, by the time Disney started paying attention, we were almost done. And so we got to do most of what we wanted to do. There are little things that I had an idea for a 2-part episode where our characters were magically trapped in a production of Macbeth. And as we know, Shakespeare's Macbeth doesn't exactly have a happy ending. So, can they escape before all the tragedy starts happening? And even that they were willing to let me do, but they said, God, because I was going to use Shakespeare's actual language, we were going to have the characters. I had Shakespearean actors in my cast, like Keith David is an amazing Shakespearean actor, and I wanted him to play Goliath playing Macduff. And I wanted John Rhys Davies to play Macbeth playing Macbeth. And I wanted Marina Sirtis to play Damona playing Lady Macbeth, etc. And they said, okay, but don't make it a 2-parter. That's a lot of money we'd be spending if the kids don't get it. I'm like, I can make sure the kids get it. I can do that. And they're like, yeah, maybe you can. Just do 1 episode, not 2. And then I'm the one who killed the idea because I thought I can adapt Macbeth into 2 episodes, 44 minutes. But at 22 minutes, there's just not enough space for it. So I'm the one who said no, ultimately. So like I said, even my weirdest ideas, they were willing to let me try up to a point. We really had tremendous creative freedom, tremendous, unheard of creative freedom on the show.
It was a lot. Because I was little when I watched it, and a lot of it went over my head. But watching it, you guys had trafficking episodes even before I knew what that meant or what that was. And it was interesting the way you were able to translate these adult subjects in a way that was understandable to children as well as adults. So that must have been a lot for you and the writing team to sort of figure out how to not dumb it down, but make it palatable to all ages.
Yeah, I mean, we had a phenomenal group of story editors and writers on this show. Michael Reeves, Bryn Chandler Reeves, Gary Sperling, Carrie Bates, Lydia Morano. And so, I would just say to them, we want this to work for adults, we want this to work for kids, and we want this to work for everyone in between. We want it to work for boys, we want it to work for girls. We want it to work for everybody. And I wasn't satisfied with the notion of just boys 6 to 11, which was our target audience. I mean, that was stated because Kenner was sponsoring the show, and so we had to hit boys 6 to 11. Because in those days, Kenner Toys was like, only boys buy action figures. I'm like, I'm not sure that's true. But they're like, well, make sure you're getting the boys 6 to 11, which we did, but we got just as many girls. And we got kids, and we got tweens, and we got teenagers, and we got college students, and we got adults. And that was due to, all the great creative people on the show, starting with the writers, but including our cast and our voice director and all the artists and everyone. Everyone just gave their all to that show, and so it was really special time, special place, and a special group of people making something with a lot of passion.
So if Disney did give you the green light, would you like it to start off where the season ended, or would you like to do a time jump where they're like in modern times?
That would be a discussion. If you're asking my personal preference, I might do a little time jump, but I wouldn't want to go all the way to 2024 because Elisa would be in her late 50s, and like 58 or something like that. And it's not that I don't want to see Elisa at 58. I very much do, but I don't want to skip 28 years of her life to get there. I want to see her turn 30 before I see her turn 60. And so if it were up to me, which again, not, but if it were, I'd say, no, let's think about starting it in 97, 98. I mean, if X-Men can do a 90s show, Gargoyles can do a 90s show.
Well, that sounds great to me. Now, if anyone wants to keep up with all things, not only Gargoyles, but are you on social media? And if so, would you let me know your handles?
Sure. I'm on Twitter at Greg_Weisman, Weisman. I also have a website, AskGregWeisman.com, where I've been answering questions about Gargoyles and Young Justice and Spider-Man and all sorts of things for 27, 28 years, and it's all archived. So I'm not answering questions right now. I'm taking a little bit of a break from that. It's become a 2-year break, but that's okay. But the truth is that there's an archive of thousands of questions that I've already answered, and it's a searchable archive. So if you have questions about those shows, you can go to AskGregWeisman.com and search the archive and find probably most of your answers that you could ever want.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for talking to me, and thank you for the beloved show that I grew up watching, and I still watch as an adult.
Thanks, Cherry. Appreciate it.
I'm so excited to talk to you about 30 years of Gargoyle. Can you tell me what it's like for the show to still be impactful on fans today?
Oh, it is so touching and amazing to see, but I think it's a testament to the kind of show it is, right? It was so complex and so real, and it had so many central themes that are important in raising people and in being people, So I'm not surprised that it has stuck around and continues to resonate as much as it has, but it's a pleasure to watch that happen still.
I grew up watching the show, and I'm shocked when I rewatched it as an adult how adult the themes were. And as a voice actor, what was it like to convey that with a character? Because this was before you could research characters or ideas on the internet. You had to read up on it or something?
Yeah, well, we did a thing called read a lot in books and things, and I was aware of the Mayan culture anyway, and as I was saying, my family is Russian, Hungarian, Argentinian, so I grew up in Puerto Rico and Chile, so I kind of knew that sort of lore and rhythm and reality.
Yeah, reality.
I'm like him. He's so sexy. Meow. So where were we? But for her, I mean, I think it was just her level of maturity and the way her artwork looked. I knew what kind of a voice I had to bring to it, and I resonated with her reason for being a character, I resonated for what her fight was, and wanting to preserve the rookery and wanting to preserve the planet, and the fact that she was kind of a curandera, no, like she used to cure people with herbs. Those were her real powers, right? I think she cured Bronx. She was able to heal Bronx, and so I loved that they brought that into the show as a real power, like the power to heal. I really loved that so much.
I loved all the characters, and I thought yours was so complex even as a kid. And so it's been so long. I know that fans are still finding the show using streaming services and VHS and DVD. Have you had a lot of interactions with fans over the years on your social media accounts?
I've been sort of a bad girl about social media, so I'm trying to reform now. So, I haven't had a lot of interaction. I've had some, I had some more so from World of Warcraft, because I am like Tyrande Whisperwind on World of Warcraft, and they have a whole kind of machine going, so occasionally I stumble across that because someone reaches me or something, but I realize I have to kind of reach out or make myself available. So, I'm on Instagram. I'm Elisa Gabrielli 1 on Instagram, so people could find me there.
We will be finding you.
Okay, please find me. Yes.
And
make me grow up.
We will help you grow up. We love
Thank
you.
you.
You need to be on TikTok. You need to be on all the social media.
I love it, girl. You have to come get me and give me a lesson.
Find you. I'm going to find you on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm going to friend you, and then I'm going to give you some
I will
advice.
friend you back. All right, I will take it. I will take it.
Now, I know I've always wanted Gargoyles to come back, live action or animated. If you guys were coming back animated, would you like to be the same age as you were when the show ended? Or would you like for her to have grown and gained more experience? As in, would you like the show to start exactly when it ended, or would you like to fast forward like 20 years or something?
Well, I kind of like the journey that those characters would take, even if maybe it fast forwarded, but then you see like flashback of like how they got there. The thing about, I was Maria Chavez too, the detective, so she would be interesting, but I shared it with Rachel Dickton, so but with Obsidiana, because she's sort of a godlike character, I think she doesn't necessarily age. I think she would be the same character in whatever circumstance she's in now. But I think she'd have her hands full if she was now, right?
We have a lot going on right
listening,
now.
Like,
people are not listening.
Do not get me started.
Do you not know history?
We do live on the planet together. Yeah. It has to last. Yeah, I know.
We're not some billionaires that get to jet off on a ship when everything goes super bad.
No kidding.
I mean, I wish I were, but I'd like to think if I was a billionaire, I'd be a good person and help.
Yeah, and there are those out there. So yeah,
there are a few.
We come with our spirit, I think.
I think we both have a good spirit, so I think no matter what the circumstances, we would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking with me. I'm hoping to see you guys again on Gargoyle on one of the streaming services.
I would love that, and I hope that they reanimate. I hope they take Greg's comic books that he's writing and make a new series based on it.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you.
And thank you for being such a good friend to me on the show. I watched Gargoyle relentlessly every week when I was a kid. Thank you.
I'll be talking to you soon.
I will be talking to you soon. Bye. We are here at Wondercon, and we're talking the 30th anniversary of my beloved Gargoyles. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So, Frank, I am a big fan of the show growing up, and I love it even more as an adult. What was it like working on the show and directing?
It was really hard. But it was fun too. So if you can have a good combination of those things, if you're doing something that's really hard, then enjoying doing it is a good thing. And Gargoyles always kind of kept you on your toes.
It was a very intricate show that it's one of the few ones where it was very distinct, and even now as an adult, I don't think I've ever really seen a animated series that looks exactly like it. So when you were directing it and directing the actors, were you guys all in a room together? Because I know nowadays often they're having people record their voices separately at home and then send it in, but I don't think the technology was there back then.
Oh, we would... we were very fortunate in that we would almost always have the crew together, and we had a very large crew of actors. And the positive thing about that is that they could all interact with each other and play off of each other, and it brought a nuance to their performances that otherwise I don't think we would have gotten. And it's always fun to do that. If you had your others, that's how I'd rather do it.
Now, this is a show that is, the original fans are still there, and then new fans are discovering it on the streaming service and Blu-rays or DVDs, as well as rewatching it again. Have you rewatched the show over the years?
Sometimes. Mm-hmm. Usually when people asking me questions, I have to go prep for them because it's been 30 years and I'm going, what was Mirror? What was that one about? Was that the one with? No, it wasn't Demona and Macbeth. That was Puck. Puck? Who's? Oh, Puck. So yeah, there were those moments where I've done so many things over the years that I have to shove some things aside for my memory space. So I have to go refresh after a little bit here and there.
Do you have any collectibles from working on the show back in the day still?
From working on the show? I do still have some original sketches and art. You know, not many, but Disney kept most of that stuff. I do have some of my original ancillary characters, the original sketches that I would give and say, "Hey, Greg, can you make something like this?" What, again? Sure.
Now, if the fans get what we want, and I know I'm one of the fans that are asking for the show to come back again, would you like to have the show come back when the series left off, or would you like to do a bit of a time jump for it to take place in present time or the early 2000s?
Well, it depends on the concept. You know, I'm sure Greg has many concepts. I mean, he would be the one that would have to put all that together because he did create the show. So I'm sure he had ideas, and all of those ideas are fine, you know, because he has been doing the comic book as the show left off. He continued the comic book. So whether he would want to do that in animation, you'd have to ask him.
Well, I did, and he said he wanted to keep it in that same time zone, which I'd be happy with. I love the show. I just grew up loving it. So if someone wants to find you, just to catch up on all the projects you've done, Spider-Man, Spawn, everything, you've been working for a long time, are you on social media? Do you have a website?
Well, I have, I'm on Facebook. Just Frank Paur, P-A-U-R, Frank Paur Art. That's where I would go. I'm still kind of working my website out, so be careful on looking at that stuff. But Frank Paur Art.
Frank Paur Art.
Yeah, but not Frank Paur. Don't go to Frank Paur.
Okay, I'll make sure to add the art. Thank you for talking to me. I really enjoyed the panel and listening to you and the other artists, talent, director, writers, show creator. It was such a fun panel, and it was fun listening to the people ask questions. Thank you again for speaking with me and for directing one of my favorite childhood series that I have grown to appreciate even more as an adult.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't get a chance to print out the paper. I'm just trying to make sure everybody gets everybody. But I just needed a white piece of paper because somebody is coming in at 2 o'clock from the beach.
So you're not going to be here till 4?
Oh, I am going to be here till 4.
You are?
Yeah. If everyone's done at 3, I'm just going to leave. But I just needed to see who I got. I needed to make a checkerboard pattern. Okay.
I'll be in the bathroom.
Okay.
It's so dry today. I think we got everybody, right? I think we got everybody, didn't we?
I'm pretty sure. Patrick, who's the storyboard artist.
Yeah.
Tom Lexington, that's Frank. He's the director and producer of Batman. Yeah, I know you guys had Elisa, because she was last, she had to go, and you guys just finished Greg. You guys are all good to go.
Yeah, nice.
Brad is not here. Brad had to take off. So, thank you.
Thank you. Want to go get some B-roll downstairs? Yeah. What time does it close today?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay.
5 o'clock.
Awesome. And what was your name? I didn't get your name.
Jessica.
Jessica Tseang. It was nice working with you. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you. I recognize your name because it was in the email.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I appreciate all of the patient waiting as I was trying to run all day. I was emailing people either at 7 a.m. or 11 p.m. I was like, ooh, I couldn't do it.
Is that Kids in the Hall? Is that what that shirt is? Sure.
Oh, no, this is Kid, and it's a... They did a collab. There's a store in Los Angeles, and I think Miami. Right?
They're all over.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And what is it?
Kids, yeah. They got one in Beverly Hills here.
Yeah, they do a lot of collabs. I think they did a Captain America one too. Yeah.
X-Men.
X-Men, yeah, all types. Thought it would be fitting today.
Yeah, I have a cool ancient gargoyle shirt, but it's been so cold in these rooms that I haven't.
Oh, that was cool.
This was the preview shirt. So this shirt is over 30 years old. And then, oh yeah.
Yeah, that is good. That is really good.
Ready? Yeah. Hold down.
So we're gonna be rolling that.
I got 2 questions.
All right.
Ready? Grab my water bottle. Touch the other way. There's a recyclable.
That was great. That was long as shit. That was good. All of them were good, actually.
So what happened?
Go, just keep talking.
Did I just do all right without audio?
I'm so sorry. I am so tired. I've not been sleeping well.
That's okay.
I love Gargoyles. I'm hoping Gargoyles will come back again. Would you be interested in joining the show if it ever comes back to streaming, or an animated movie?
Definitely, 100%. It's still one of my favorites of all the work I've done over the years. Been doing this 30 years, and it's a standout, as far as quality of production, the writing, just everything, and the group we put together and stuff.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite from childhoods, and I'm really happy rewatching it as an adult because I get so much more out of it. And I'm
Right.
so happy that we have technology where we're able to watch it on demand.
Yeah, and you can just wait a second. What did she say? You can rewind it and go right through it again. Or as a artist myself, pausing stuff to see how. Oh, that's how you get that angle. You get this kind of stuff. Now, back then we didn't have that. We had a model pack about that thick, storyboard paper, script, and a little cassette. That was it.
Now, any fan who wants to find you on a social media platform, how would they find you?
Oh gosh, Mukluk, Mukluk Productions. That's my website that I have some of my own IP on, kind of thing. Myself and some friends who've been developing stuff over the years, and that's probably the best way. So.
Okay. Well, we'll have to find you on Mukluk. On Mukluk. Thank you so much for talking to me. I'm so sorry I didn't have my mic. I'm so excited to be talking to Lexington, one of my favorite gargoyles.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody. Hi. Look, this is new for the 30th anniversary of Gargoyle.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
It's Lexington.
Hey. Oh my God, he's one of my favorite characters because I watched the show as a child and I totally understood him because I was the youngest and no one ever wanted to let me grow up. What was it like getting that character, that voice all together?
It was kind of a lot like I am. I'm always, I wasn't the youngest, I'm in the middle, but I always liked, I'm always been very hyper and excitable about things, just things. I react very big, and Lexington was, I loved how he was a big techie, and I was not. So that I appreciated that in Lexington, and it was just the best. It was the best job.
Gargoyles has been such a touch point for not only me, but other people, and it's grown and found new audiences. Have you had a lot of interaction with people who are like, oh my God, you did Gargoyles?
Yeah, well, it's so funny. The 2 days after I got this tattoo, I was I went into a restaurant to pick up my order, and I had a tank top on, and the girl goes, oh, I love your Gargoyle, your Lexington tattoo, and I went, I'm the voice of Lexington, and she was like, what? And she was young. Mm-hmm. She was young. So I was like, wow. Because, she looked like she may have been like 23. And so you're right. The how it's finding a new audience is just amazing because the show, it's just so good.
When The Shane came out when I was a kid, you could just watch it on TV. You didn't have video on demand. You didn't have VHS or DVD
if you missed
or
an episode, you were in trouble.
Oh my God. I was so lucky my dad liked the show because we'd watch it because usually my dad was like the decider of what you got to watch.
Yeah.
And so with the ability of streaming service and Blu-ray and everything else for kids of all ages see it, kids at heart, adults. What's that been like for you as a voice actor? Because you've been doing this for a long time, but I have to say, out of all your characters, Lexington's one of my favorites.
Yeah, well, he's one of my favorite too. And Clarion the Witch Boy is also one of my favorite from Young Justice League. What was the question again? I forgot.
How the new fans are finding you, and you're saying that you're not super on the social media. Yeah. But I assume you have some social media.
I'm a Facebook nut. I'm on Facebook all the time, and I just think it's great. And I've gotten people who friend request me that are fans, that are recent fans, that I automatically accept them as friends, and I love having them. All the fans on my Facebook page. It's awesome.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Now, I'm, like many others, hoping that the show will come back again in a new reiteration on streaming service or anything. If you had your druthers, would Lexington be the same age he was when the show ended, or will he have, quote-unquote, matured? Because, they're gargoyles. They never really aged.
Yeah, I think I would like him to stay the same age. I think I would like it if he was the same age. And I would love it. I just pray that it would come back. And Greg had said that he would make Lexington gay. I don't know if he made him because I'm gay, and so he said he wanted to make Lexington come out before the series was canceled. But he had talked about that, and so he talked about it in one of the Gargoyle conventions in the Blue Mug group where they talk about X-rated things with the gargoyles. And he said, yeah, he goes, I wanted to make Lexington gay, and if it would have continued, I would have. So if it is an reiteration of it, I think Lexington would be gay, which would be really great, I think.
I think it's really important to see ourselves reflected in the medium that we love and the characters that we love.
Yeah.
I'm not gay, but I have gay friends. I know that sounds terrible,
no,
but I do.
It's true.
And I love when I see ourselves on these shows that we love and welcoming, because kids see these shows and they don't see them as cartoons or fairy tales. They see them as real people. I remember watching Mr. Rogers, and I put on a pair of shoes and a sweater, and I take it off with them, and I talk to the TV, and my parents would always look at me like, who are you talking to? Mr. Rogers.
Oh,
and I used to talk to you guys all the time when we were watching.
I love that.
And, it was always very much a big comfort for me. So I'm hoping that we will see you guys in a new iteration.
I hope so, too.
And if someone wants to find you on Facebook, which is your preferred...
Facebook. Come to Facebook.
How will we find you on
me
Facebook?
on Facebook. Thom Adcox Hernandez. Thom Adcox Hernandez. I'm there. That name. Friend me.
You're there. I want to see you on TikTok. If you want, I'll show you how to use TikTok. You have to be on TikTok.
I'm on Instagram also, but I don't. I'm on Instagram.
And who are you on Instagram? Is it the same name?
It's. I think it's just Thom Adcox on Instagram.
I think I'm going to have to be finding you, Tom.
Yeah, look me up.
I will be looking you up.
Facebook for sure. Facebook.
I will. I am so happy to talk to you. Congratulations on the Gargoyles and 30 years. I hope to see you guys really soon.
So much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shake my hand. Yes. It's so
I
nice
really
to
did
meet
like you. I felt so much like I was Lexington. thank you so much for Gargoyles. It was one of my favorite shows growing up.
Sure.
What was it like? What's it been like over the years with new people finding you because of technology changing with streaming services, DVD, Blu-ray, VHS?
VHS, the brand new technology of VHS. It's hot. It's red hot. Beta. It's all going to be beta.
My grandparents still have that stuff.
I've got stacks. I bought a laser disc like the day before DVDs were invented. I got this like fantastic new laser disc. It plays both sides, and then
Laserdisc. And they really were visually, Laserdisc was the way to go. It was just too big.
they're fantastic. Yeah.
It was just too big. It was
And
smaller.
I had, if I wasn't such an entire Luddite, I would have known that CDs were coming. But
You're
what are you
like
going to
my
do?
dad. He always picked the technologies that would not move forward, and he wouldn't listen to me.
It's all going to be beta. Bet it all on beta.
He bought all of those.
Beta?
And every time I told him no, it's going to be VHS, he's like, "You're a child. You don't know what you're talking about."
Beta was a superior.
It was. But he
know,
really picked the
technology,
superior
but-
thing. They just weren't popular. Anyway.
But
Thank you so much
I
for the
loved your
panel.
dad.
Gargoyles was such a great show for me watching it as a child, and then I've rewatched it again as an adult.
That's one of
and
the
the
great things about it.
storylines, which went over my head as a kid,
Exactly.
I was like, oh, this was like really talking about some serious
Yeah.
stuff. That must have been a lot of fun getting that through, approval, as well as just working with the cast.
Well, everything is handled so delicately, anything that would be considered any kind of sensitive topic. Again, like not a lot of cartoons tackling, human trafficking, sort of thing. But again, it's one of the reasons I think that it's so successful, because it's so good. It's so well conceived. It's so well written, and it works on so many levels. So you watched it when you were a kid, and you can watch it now with your kids, for example. So you watch it as a 10-year-old, and you like it for all the right reasons, and but then as a 20-year-old, you appreciate it even more. And in truth, as a 30-year-old, you appreciate stuff that you didn't entirely appreciate, like about parenting and whatever, as a 20-year-old. And it's one of the reasons that the show, I think, was so successful from the beginning, because it worked on all those levels. And again, the audience keeps rediscovering it, as it were. And that's Mr. Weisman.
Yes.
You know.
It had such a wonderful world-building universe to it, and the voice cast, as it was selected, really enriched the characters, which when I was an adult watching things, I'd hear the voice. I was like, why is that familiar? Then I'd be like, oh, Gargoyles. What was one of the things that you always enjoyed looking back when you were casting and working with the cast about the show? Because you guys had some people that was some of their first shows before they really
and a lot of people that just were not, traditional animation, actors. And it's great. It was, again, the writing was so good. And from the very get-go, we were in casting for 6 months plus, 6 to 9 months. It was a long time. A lot of auditions, because there were a lot of characters. But the writing was so good that the word started spreading throughout town. So then I was getting, calls from, like, hey, Peter Strauss would like to read for this. And I'm like, really? Okay. And again, we read so many people during that casting process, fantastic actors. Again, someone like Peter Strauss, Fred Molina, CCH Pounder, amazing actors. And they all came back. They're all in the show somewhere. It's because I'm a genius. That's the real reason. But again, the writing was so good that it was just really, easy to get people to do it, and it sort of snowballed. I remember there was one sort of famous day where we had, multiple former stars of the Royal Shakespeare Company in the room at the same time. It was David Warner, who was like the definitive Shakespeare, he was like the first rock star Shakespeare in 1965 or 67, something like that. And he used to stroll the streets of London with this huge red scarf dragging behind him, and then Roger Rees, who was like the definitive Shakespeare of the 80s, and then Malcolm McDowell, and Terrence Mann, who was not Royal Shakespeare, but he was a Broadway guy. And all these guys were in there at the same time, John Rhys Davies. And I remember looking at Greg thinking, what are all these people doing here for this show, for our show? It was a remarkable cast. Laura San Giacomo, all the Star Trek, everyone. It was just a real treat. It's a standout. Again, I've been this for 150 years. I've done over 100 movies, 3,000 episodes of TV, something. And there aren't a lot of shows that still have their own fan convention 30 years later, It's a special show for all the right reasons. It's just, extraordinarily smart, extraordinary quality.
The voices were, like, as a child watching, I never looked up the actors' names, but the voices were so rich and distinct. When you were casting them, I assume you had like a casting Bible that you worked off of and a general idea what you wanted everyone to sound like?
Yeah, hopefully more than a general idea. One of the tricks was, we needed really extraordinary actors, and there are tons of extraordinary actors, but it's, you start with this many extraordinary actors, but they also need to have this and this and this and that, all these qualities, until you get to distill this person. And sometimes that just takes time. Other times it was really quick. Thom Adcox as Lexington, quick. Marina Sirtis, as Demona, quick. Bill Fagerbakke as Broadway, quick. Ed Asner as Hudson, quick. So you might think, well, isn't that most of the cast? Why did it take so long? There were a lot of other characters too. Greg would come in and sit down and say, like he pitched the show, here's the show, here are the characters, here's what he was thinking, and then I would correct that. No. We would talk about it, and then I'd start throwing out ideas, so something like this. And sometimes it's, if you're just talking about specs, like it can be someone that, like an Orson Welles kind of thing or whatever, and Orson doesn't have the same energy that he did when he was living. So he's not available. But, you would talk about characters and actors, as sort of specs, and then you set about the task of finding them. One of the more time-consuming creative aspects of the casting, and this was from the start, like, what do gargoyles sound like? So we had a better idea what Goliath was supposed to sound like, for example. But then, like, the three teenagers, so they're teenagers, they got to sound like kids-ish, but they're gargoyles. They're, and Broadway's huge, and Lexington's little, but they're still all these powerful monsters, as it were. So we knew that we were looking for unique sounds, and we got, I would say, really lucky, but you make your own luck, So Thom has a built-in, voice. Bill Fagerbakke built-in, voice, and they're both, extraordinary actors, and you get to do things in animation in general that you don't always get to do on camera, and that's one of the reasons that a lot of actors like doing it, because if you're a character actor that looks a certain way, you're not going to get this kind of leading man or leading, woman role. And if you're a leading man, you might not, get to play these sort of character-y roles, In an animation, you can do whatever. Don't matter what you look like. And that's another reason that a lot of, on-camera actors love it. Coming in their sweats, like something in the corner of their eye. It doesn't matter. No one sees them. And it's just it's a very present way of working, Like, you just go. If you're there, if you're recording an animated, episode for 4 hours, you're acting for 4 hours. You're on an on-camera set for 8 hours. You got 9 to work 8. Out of those 8 hours of work, you're acting for 60 minutes maybe of it. Because it's all setups, and you go back to your trailer, and you come back out, and you do the same scene from another angle. And but it's a very present way of working. And actors like that. You get to jump in and do it, and it's a lot of fun.
Like a lot of fans, I'm hoping that we'll get a new Gargoyles, and if we do get new Gargoyles and you get to cast, What type of voice actors would you like to see join as new characters?
Good ones. I'm going with all good ones. I'm not sure how to answer that question. Theoretically, there would be a lot of returning cast.
Yes.
And then we'll get some really good folks to do the new roles.
Yeah, I have some favorite, like watching the show as a kid, the voices were so distinct. Even if I happened to leave the room, I could still, I knew who was talking every time, which I think is so important when you're casting. And the job you did worked so well because the characters fit the drawing, or the drawing fit the characters.
Thank
Whatever
you.
it became like. Since I watched it as a child, they were real to me.
Yes, good. That you're supposed to. You need to care about the characters, otherwise, why come back the next day and the next week and whatever?
I came back every week, and I'm so excited that it's streaming again. So I'll be rewatching it again and introducing it to new people because it's such a wonderful show that is great for kids, adults, and rewatch.
It's a smart show, and there's all these Shakespearean themes. It's just so multi-layered. It works on so many levels. And it's just plain entertaining, which is what among other things, it should be. It's really smart and really fun, and it's just, from A to Z, it's just a really, really well-crafted, good, smart show.
It was. Thank you so much for talking to me. Congratulations on 30 years of Gargoyle.
Thank you. I was 2 when we started.
My new favorite voice casting person because you did such a wonderful job. I mean, to this day, I can still, when I think about the show, I can still remember
That's
the
a good
voices.
sign. It should work as a radio play. You could, close your eyes and listen to it and hopefully, get it.
Oh, I never thought about doing that. I always thought that
It's
was
a visual medium. Don't get me wrong. The pictures are important too, I guess. Whatever.
But the voices really nailed it for me. Thank you again. Congratulations on 30 years of Gargoyles.
Thank you.
And hopefully I'll be seeing you at another con really soon.
From your lips. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.